So you're thinking to yourself, is there any way that the housing market and the values here in the Denver metro area can sustain and will continue to rise? Well, in this video, I'm going to cover 3 key areas that most people are looking at when it comes to answering that question based off what's happening with rates, the overall affordability and prediction on what's going to happen with home values. But lastly, to answer the question of when is it smart to make these decisions, and if you stick around to the end, I'm going to share with you the main secret that the top experts know on how to make sure you're making the right decision when it comes to housing. Well, thanks for sticking around. If this is your first time to the channel, keeping current matters, bringing you, but most importantly, sharing with you what the top experts and economists are predicting is going to happen in housing, and then bringing that back to local expertise based off of what's happening in today's market, and sharing with you the ways that you can make the best decision for you and your family when it comes to real estate. So let's dive right in to when we look at will home values continue to rise, and is this sustainable? Is the question's already been answered as you look at what has happened with inventory and that of overall homes sitting on the market, not over the last 30 to 45 days, but really the last 2 weeks. As you look at the last 7 days, we've seen almost 1,600 homes require a price reduction based off the inability to go under contract. Now, that is not an indicator of a dramatic market. What it is a dramatic change to the market we were experiencing in the first 4 months of the year. Now, as you look at the reason for that, there are a lot of people who are continuing on with the traditional seasonality of putting their home on the market over the summer season. However, we've seen a large decrease in demand, and next month, stick around, we'll share with you showing times traffic report on how much of an impact that was, because we know over the last couple months, we've seen the average listing amount of showings per property go from double digits in the high 20s all the way down to the average showings per listing in Denver Metro this month was below 10. So what's happening with sustainability is it's not going to sustain the way that it was. Rates changing from where they were 4, 5, 6% has done exactly what people were expecting and or people knew, not necessarily all of you and I, but the experts who predict these things knew that by changing rates dramatically, that would shift demand quite a bit. 2 reasons. 1, psychologically having to pay a different dollar amount for something than you were paying before when it's the same thing, or that of not psychologically, but the act of affordability and being able to afford the type of home you were looking at before. So to answer the question, will home values sustain, is the answer is no, in form of rate of appreciation, meaning that the 18% appreciation we've been seeing year over year is going to decelerate at the rate homes are going to appreciate. So we'll dive into that second component of, will home values continue to rise and will homes become more affordable, is unfortunately until rates go back down, if they do, to where they were, we will still not get back to an affordability index of where homes were before. If you guys remember when we were sharing these market segments in 2021, housing affordability was actually at a very high level due to where the rates were and the average income. Not saying that the affordability wasn't difficult for many in different markets, but the overall index over the last 30 years was. So when we answer the question of will home values continue to rise, is that means will home values continue to appreciate? And right now, we're still seeing year over year and month over month appreciation. We'll keep you updated on, do we see a change to that with the price reductions that we're experiencing right now. The inventory, meaning how fast can these homes sell or contract on the market, will dictate what happens with that of appreciation. So remember, 6 months of inventory or less, seller's market, homes should continue to appreciate. Across the nation, we were sitting at 2 months of inventory. Here locally, less than 1. However, we have seen an increase in the amount of inventory sitting on the market. The exact numbers we'll know next week and make sure to share that with you. However, for the month-by-month basis of what we're going to bring to you, we are going to continue to see home values rise. Now, to answer the last question, which is, when should I make this change? The question really is, when are you making the change based off of what's happening in the market? And when you're making this change, where are you going? When do you want to be there by? And most importantly, how long do you plan on that change being for? So let's dive into each of those. As when to make a change, if we're taking out all emotional and or long-term factors that have anything to do with family, job, but the reality of what our lives revolve around, is then the answer is, when to make a change is when there's less homes on the market. So when inventory is lower, you will take advantage of better price, time on market, and what you can ask for in return to make your transition and or sell easier. So if you're thinking about selling over the next couple months, if inventory continues to rise, when to sell would be now. However, you need to factor into account what is happening, which are some people are making these price reductions prematurely because of the fact they've never been in this market. So remember, the average days on market is a great indication of how long should you continue to market a property for before you address and or adjust that of the value of the home. You also want to look at the marketing of your real estate agent and the efforts to expose the property to drive the right amount of showings to the home. For about every 10 showings that you receive on a priced right to the market home, you should receive a contract. So the goal obviously is to drive showings. Now, when you talk about the other factors of where are you going, when do you want to be there by, and how long are you planning for this change, those are very important factors to address when you're looking to sell. So I'm not going to cover those on this video today due to the fact that's a little bit of a longer conversation of when is the right time to sell for you and your family. However, if you're looking at overall affordability, the ability to own a home for a longer period of time to then have more equity in the property will always be the value of having a lower loan amount on a higher value of the home. So if you're planning on making this change, the value in doing it now versus waiting a while is based off of not waiting now for later because of rates, is that you take advantage of the rates today and the value of owning a home long term to when the rates change, you refinance your way back down into the rate that you want to have on your home long term. However, right now, there's nothing you can do to go backwards to change the fact that the rate you're going to be in now is different than the one that was there before. Now, some people are in a very low rate, which creates something called rate lock, meaning you're probably like a lot of the people I talk to who, because of where my rate was before, the thought of the rate that I'll be in today is making me no longer want to make that change. Logically and financially, that makes sense. However, where you're going is important to connect with local experts. Obviously, being a part of the #1 consulting company in America, I'm happy to connect you with those, but finding out what is happening in the changing market elsewhere, because if the home values are continuing to rise there, you're losing out on the affordability factor long-term of a home versus the short-term factor of a change in rate. You have to look at what's the cost over X amount of months versus what's the cost and the change of the value of the home. And right now, until we start to see indicators showing that home value is going to go down, when to make a change is always better while the home value is rising. So then that way you own a home of larger value to that of what you owe on the property. And you take advantage of refinancing where rates take the stairs back down. Now, lastly, when we look at overall combining these three, and I shared one specific tip that the experts know, is that you do real estate for the purpose of long term. When you start looking at the 5, 10, and 30-year timeframes of owning real estate, is no matter what has occurred in the corrections, keeping the property long term is really the number one goal, is to never actually sell an asset. Now, I know many people can't do that. For those that I'm speaking to as investors, the goal is to take your properties, make them into rentals, and take advantage of purchasing your next property if it's a primary function of what you're planning on doing long term. So remember, most people don't make their real estate decisions based off of trying to time a market. It's a matter of spending time learning about it to then know you're making the right decision. So what is it? The number one secret the top experts know is that the market fluctuates month by month, but goes through longer cycles. So right now, while we're going through a change in cycle, it's important that you keep coming back every month. And let's just call it the doctor of real estate, or you call me Doc Martin, is every single month I will share with you what the experts are seeing, what that means to you as an individual, if you're a renter, a homeowner, or somebody looking to make a different type of change within investment portfolio. But the important part is, if you're not ready to make a decision today, having enough information, is then you wait one more month to get more information to better understand what are the symptoms, what's happening, what can we do to fix this treatment. And right now, the treatment shouldn't be to do nothing. It should be to schedule time with your local expert. I'm happy to do this with you, or our team, or agents across the nation. I'll get you connected with them to show you what the experts are predicting. So then that way you can make the right decisions long term on what's best for you and your family. So as always, love bringing you the information. We've seen a massive change over the last week in price reductions. But remember, that's not because prices are going down. It's because a lot of people are prematurely reducing the price because they haven't been in markets like this before where things have changed. The last 5 years have been a steady decline in inventory, less homes on the market, which meant it was only going to continue to be easier and better for anybody to sell. This is more traditional real estate. Traditional real estate takes time to make a decision, but also time spent learning. So thank you for giving me your time today. Like, share, and continue to comment any useful feedback on what I can do to keep you educated, keep you current, and most importantly, keep you current coming back. So that way we don't try to time the market. We spend time learning about it.